Yeah, so we're here at the Discover Croatia store in Narodni Trg in Diocletian's Palace in Split. Just had our book launch here. It's been very excellent. We were in Zagreb at Hocu Knjigu Megastore earlier. Tomorrow night I'm in Zadar at Supernova. And then Wednesday I'm back in Split at Yoga Centre at Hocu Knjigu. And then December the 6th we're in Osijek, and December the 7th in Vukovar. And we're also planning to go to Dubrovnik, Pula, Rijeka and Varazdin. And I'm very grateful to everyone that's come. The book's been a lot of fun to write, and I hope it helps a lot of people. And what an amazing country.
So Paul, who are you?
I'm a fat, pink English blogger who's been living in Croatia for 20 years. I came here from Somalia, and I found that life here is very addictive. I run a portal called Croatian News. It's not very good. And at this sad old age of 53, I've decided to become a YouTuber and a writer. So this is my book, which I wrote with my editor, Lauren Simmons, who was the editor of Croatian News. So we started this project just a few weeks ago. So that's who I am.
Okay. I have the book in my hand, and we thank everybody who already bought the book. And if you're gonna buy it at the end and want it signed, if you can't get a hold of him, just ask me and I make sure your book gets signed. Okay, but can you sell us your book in just 3 sentences? Why would somebody buy that?
This is a book that has been written, part 1 is 20 years of love and affection in this mad but magnificent country, and it's the thoughts of a foreigner who's been here for 20 years, who's been through it, and who is able to explain with local knowledge and a foreign eye, with love and affection, and a little bit of criticism. And the second half of the book has been written by Lauren, which is a very practical guide for anybody moving to this country, how to open a bank account, find a dentist, make a friend, what to do with your pets on a weekend, that kind of thing. So it's a mixture of the two.
Okay, and to give a flavor of the book to quite a big audience that we have here tonight.
So the book really started back in July, is the birth of the idea. I was approaching 20 years in Croatia. I just met a girl on LinkedIn who's a copywriter giving great advice called Dina Čelaković, and she was posting that if you want to make money, you need 3 things. You need a LinkedIn account, a laptop, and a niche. And I had a laptop and I had a LinkedIn account, and I was wondering what my niche could be. And obviously I've written about Croatia a lot, so I thought I could do maybe something different about Croatia. So because it was 20 years coming up, I decided to do a series, 20 ways that Croatia changed me in 20 years. So these were going to be in-depth articles on LinkedIn about different aspects of life in Croatia over the last 20 years, which have affected me personally and changed me. And so the first thing I did was doing business in Dalmatia. Which if anybody who's tried to do business in Dalmatia, you'll know it's very different.
Let's see, how many people have a business in Dalmatia?
Plus all the ones that left. And so I came up with it. I wrote this article on LinkedIn, my first article on LinkedIn, and it got 500 likes on LinkedIn. I was astonished. And then the next one I wrote was about the culture of the olive harvest. Not the actual picking, but the community, the tradition, the way that everybody comes together, and it's a really amazing time. If you've never done it, I highly recommend it. And somebody wrote to me from Australia in tears, saying, I'm from Dalmatia, I read this, and it just really got to my heart. And so I just started writing a few things, and the one that Mirella mentioned was, I wrote one called The 3 Stages of Learning for a Foreigner in Croatia: love, hate, and nirvana. And basically you have 95% of foreigners who come to Croatia love Croatia, because they come as a tourist for 2 weeks, they see the beach, they see the girls, they see the food, the wine, the culture, the nature, and the guys, and they just think it's the most amazing place. And then you have a small number of people who come and love it so much they decide to move here and to start a business here. And within 12 months they start to really hate the place, because they start to deal with all the bureaucracy, and they figure out the reason why things are quite slow, because that's the way they are, and they get really, really frustrated. A lot of them end up hating Croatia because of it, and some of them go back to the UK with a lot less money than they came with. And then you have less than 1%, I would say, and I would call it, these are the people that reach nirvana. And it took me 15 years to get here. And basically, the secret is to accept that prayer, the old prayer, which is accept the things you cannot change, and have the courage to change the things you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. And so, if you can apply that to the Croatian way of life, I equate living in Croatia the same way as being an alcoholic in Norway. I'm an alcoholic in Croatia, but that's different, but it's cheaper. No, but in Norway, you love the lifestyle, but if you're an alcoholic and you go for a beer, it's going to cost you 10 euros. And you could come to Croatia and have that beer for 2 euros, but you decide to go, so you pay that alcohol tax just to have that lifestyle in Norway. And the same way here in Croatia, you pay a corruption tax, which I call the uhljeb tax, if you know the word in Croatian. And this is the price you pay for living in this magnificent country with this magnificent lifestyle. And once you mentally accept that, this place is really, really paradise. And that was that chapter.
And since we are a lot of us like shaking our heads, who reached nirvana here?
Jan, for sure. Yeah, okay.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
good.
okay.
That's not
Okay,
too bad.
yeah, more percent, okay.
Okay, and I have one more question, because I said which is my favorite chapter
Yeah.
of the book, and which is your favorite part of the book.
Everything written by Lauren is the best, of course.
And what you wish that you had put in the book and you didn't, and maybe you put in the next book?
Well, you know, actually the favourite chapter of the book for me, apart from the tribute to my father-in-law who passed away earlier this year, I would say is probably the first one about doing business in Dalmatia, because I started writing it, and it took me 15 years to come up with this one sentence which explained everything. And this one sentence was, if you can accept this as a Western, you come here as a Westerner, and you've got your business mindset, like Dalmatia needs this, it needs this, it needs this, and it needs this, and if we have this, then we'll make lots of money and everyone will be happy. And this is the sort of Western mentality. And then you come to Dalmatia, and everything is or everything. So, you know, and so there's a lot of frustration. And so I came up with this one sentence, which literally took me 15 years to figure out because I'm quite slow. But if I give that sentence to people who just come off the plane, and if they can actually listen to that sentence, understand that sentence, and live by that sentence, then they will have reached paradise on the first day. But the reality of the Western mindset is you hear this sentence and you go, what a load of rubbish. And then you go and you do your thing, and then years later you'll come back to the sentence and go, uh-huh. And the sentence is very simple. And this is specifically for Dalmatia, specifically for Westerners doing business in Dalmatia. Do not try and change Dalmatia, but expect Dalmatia to change you. And if you can really understand what that means on the first day, and live by that, and reorganize your thoughts and everything else, then this place is, it really is paradise. But it took me a long time to figure that out. So I've had lots of frustrations.
And speaking of the other author of the book, Lauren, we are sorry she's not here, but since I'm also an expat and I live here for 7 years, that is the part that I wish somebody was writing 7 years ago when I came, because it's really important to have somebody like really put it out there with all the information that you might need, from like pets to driving to anything that you actually have to like Google, and you know, if you don't speak Croatian, that's hard. So if you know anyone that plans to move here or just like come for a little while, this is a great gift for them.
I write, I think, transparently, honestly, and I criticise. There's a lot of criticism, but in a constructive way. There's no point saying that everything is terrible in Croatia, because there's no point just putting all that negativity out there. If you've got something to say, and you have a solution for it, then I think that's a valid argument. And so everything I've said that's been critical of Croatia, it's mostly critical of Croatian institutions rather than Croatia the country. And it's important to make that distinction, and people often don't. No, I'm more than happy to say what I think is bad, and I think after 20 years I've got a valid reason for doing that, and I'm fairly well known for speaking my opinion, and gets me into trouble sometimes, but that's okay.
Okay. Oh, beautiful.